component that occurs with most puppies. So I always tell people that first year you're going to see gut and you're going to see skin, and the least intervention that you do with that, the better, because they're going to be healthier and stronger after that first year. Because it's basically, it's kind of like putting fire on, or putting oil on, or gas on a fire by giving them those vaccines when they're puppies, and it's raging, and it takes about a year for that whole thing to smolder and settle down. So that's kind of how I explain it.
So I had a brand new client come in today to the cat hotel, and
Yeah.
I'm super excited. The cat hotel is just on fire right now, so I'm excited
Uh,
because I was very close to closing it. I was very,
oh,
very close to closing it.
Is Brittany still
No,
managing?
no. And
Oh,
that's a
that's
topic
fun.
for off camera, but
Yeah. Oh, and so
but
that's been hard if you're trying to do both, because she was really in charge of all that.
that's a conversation we'll do
Yeah. Okay.
after
I'm sorry.
this.
Okay.
Uh, But I had this new client come in today. I just thought you would find this interesting, and I thought it would be a good topic to maybe talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
Is sometimes when veterinarians use fear in order to get you to do things that may not be something that you want to do, you can afford to do, or you should do. And
Mm.
the language that they choose to use is used for the purpose of scaring you. And so these guys are brand new pet owners with two of the most adorable little kitties.
Oh.
And their vet chose to use language such as this. And I'm curious as to what you will say about it. I have my thoughts on it. But they said we should run a test to make sure your new kitties don't have AIDS.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
What do you think that
I
says?
mean, when that first, I was working as a vet tech when that thing first came out. We didn't even, that wasn't even really it wasn't really in the population of cats. It was not,
Right,
I'm sure it existed, but just wasn't it wasn't found
right,
commonly. It was like just kind of getting started and being identified, and that was how it was referred to then. But that's also when, like, AIDS, it was in the 80s, that's when
sure.
AIDS was even happening in the human population. So there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear, a lot of,
So much.
yeah. And
I mean,
so, I mean, there's a lot. That's a very loaded topic, Carrie, in a lot of ways. And
two,
it's a lot
two,
of that's happening with,
the,
there's a
the
lot of overlap with the last year, honestly, in a lot of ways. But yeah.
that these kittens are I want to say they're 6 weeks or 8 weeks old, and they were found running around, and so they got them, and they're taking such good care of them. They want to learn everything and know everything,
Oh,
and I said I'm very sorry that your vet was too scary and make it sound like you can't have these cats, they might have AIDS, that your children could have it, all of these things.
what?
Well, the vet didn't come right out and say that, but I think when you use the term AIDS and not follow it up with what we're actually talking about, and I think it scares people. Oh my God, I've never had a cat before. Now you're telling me they have AIDS. I think it's a very dangerous thing, and I think it's used.
Oh, yeah, it is. I agree. I
It's
mean,
used,
it wasn't a responsible
I don't think it's responsible.
way to
It's just interesting. So I
open the conversation with anybody, especially someone who's new to cats. And it sounds like it might have been like an older vet that's
could
maybe
be,
not, maybe
could,
not
I don't
very
know. I
progressive in the
helped
way
them.
that they're, like,
I
you know,
helped a bit. I think we
explaining
talked
things.
about what they can. Cats don't. They're not showing any signs of any illnesses or anything like that, and so we
I
just
mean,
talked.
you definitely want to test them for communicable and fatal diseases.
Sure, sure, but you
There's
don't need
nothing wrong with that.
freak everybody out that, oh my God, get them out of the house. But we talked about diet, and we're going to hopefully get them a little bit more information about diet.
Yeah, and think about trying a different vet, because I imagine that that's going to be a big roadblock or a big issue if they're feeding
Yeah,
raw. They're going to start talking about bacteria and toxoplasmosis and
right,
all kinds
right,
of things. So,
right. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I didn't want to overwhelm them too much. They're going on
right.
this little. They're actually going up to San Francisco.
Ah,
I should have told them to stop by, and
yeah, that'd be fun.
I didn't want to overwhelm them because they're
No.
brand new kitty parents, and they've got a road ahead of them, I think. And
Yeah.
they're really ready to do it, which I love because the kittens are so young.
Oh.
And on that note, since we're talking about kitties, most of you know that I lost my cat a few weeks ago of 20 years old. and I do rescue for the Orange County Animal Shelter. And of course, I adopted a new little kitty. I did.
Oh, when did
So,
that happen, Carrie? I missed it.
well, I had to. So when I get the kitties, I, bottle feed them or whatever I need to do, and then I have to take them back so that they can adopt it. So one of them I fell in love with. Of course, well, all of them I fell in love with, but one in particular, it's a little boy. He's a little black and white tuxedo kitty.
Oh,
And when I hadn't, it wasn't planned out. I just went to go take them all back because they're of the age and the weight that they can go back. And I don't know, I just left with him.
you're like, this one's mine. He's supposed to be with me.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm just now transitioning him over to raw. So
Oh, how old is he, do you think?
he's I think they think that he's probably right around 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
So cute.
Yeah,
That'll
I
be
did.
easy.
Yeah, it'll.
Just
Now's the time, right? Like I
yeah,
gotta,
get him
we'll,
on it immediately. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
just ditch the other stuff. Just get him right on it.
Oh yeah, no, we're
Yeah.
going.
Okay,
Well,
good.
I just put in. I have to go, and I just this all happened yesterday, so I'm like, okay, I'm ready. We're gonna do this. We're gonna start transitioning you and getting you going, and see if he's gonna eat it because I've been. It's kind of weird because I have an obligation to them, and it's something. So I've been putting a little pieces of raw in his food all along, but now I'm ready. Like you're
Yeah.
mine. You're officially mine.
Yeah.
So I can't get in trouble. The
Yeah.
only bummer is that he's already over vaccinated. So
Oh,
that's the bummer part. The other bummer part is that I have to sign a contract that I'll take him back and let them neuter him, and he's so young. I don't
when do you have to do that?
now this week.
Oh no, that's too young. That's terrible.
There's nothing I can do. It's literally nothing I can do about
Wow.
it. I can't sign
Really?
anything. Nope,
Even though you've been a great volunteer and they know that you're like dedicated to not letting him.
nope,
Wow,
nope.
that's really sad.
Not even for me.
That's so
I
sad.
know it's really a bummer because but the way I look at it is, look, this kitty, no matter what, is going to end up getting neutered. So I can
Right.
take it back. They're going to neuter him this week, no matter what. And at least if he's with me, he'll be neutered and eat really healthy.
Yeah.
So I can try to offset everything. And of course, they vaccinated him again the other day, and I know,
What a bummer.
but it is what
That's
it.
I know it's a I mean it makes rescue really complicated.
It's
You
it
know, for
it's a
people
very
who naturally rear, it's just so
challenging.
yeah, it
It's
makes it
so hard
hard.
for me.
I was
I
such a
think I mentioned.
dedicated rescuer, and then I just don't know if I have the stomach for it anymore. Like getting these animals that are just, I've done it for so many years to like get these animals that are just, it's just almost hopeless. You know, it's like they have someone tripped them and pushed them off into the ditch right from the start, you know, and it's like,
No,
trying to get them back. And it's so much work. And you don't usually, you can't, you can never just have a bad start. I mean, it's really makes it challenging. You just know what you're getting into is they're never going to be healthy. You know,
yeah,
they're going to be as healthy as they can be, which is great, but there's going to be problems,
yeah.
you know?
No, I know. I thought about it. I was like, I could go get a naturally reared kitten from a breeder, and I could do all of that, and but
Or
or I
like
could,
I did, I have two that I found
yeah,
or found
or
me.
I could do this, and I
Yeah.
just decided to do this. So it
I
is
know
what it.
I've started thinking about like, getting pregnant dogs, wherever, and then
Mm-hmm.
rescuing them and raising the puppies naturally, and then having naturally reared rescue puppies. Because
Yeah,
I'm so dedicated to rescue. It's been weird
it's
to get things from
challenging.
breeders, but I was just saying today, it's like I had this long, 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 crazy, impossible list of like how I would ever get a dog from a breeder because I was just not anti-breeder, but I was really dedicated to rescue, and I felt like as long as there's a dog who's in need in rescue, I will never get a dog from a breeder
Yeah,
unless this perfect person came along that had like my standards were so high. And then literally like it was within a few weeks that I met my breeder that I have
well,
now,
you
who
know what?
I
That's
adore.
great.
She is exactly everything I'd ever hoped for and more. She's even better than what I imagined. So,
Yeah.
it's like, and
So
she
here's
is
a
amazing. I love her.
interesting thing. I think I was going to say, which we can do, is I go on Facebook a lot. I'm an admin for a few groups, and so questions come in all the time. And then I type them in, and I thought, that'll be fun. We can just go through some of these and ask these questions to each other. But now that we've brought up breeders, I think we could kind of talk a little bit about that topic. Oh, I don't even know if you guys can see this. I got completely chewed up today. So anyway, I had this giant bruise on my arm. So it's
Yikes!
in
What happened? Is it a
I was just
dog?
trying to hold a dog. I was trying to hold a dog, and he just tore into my arm. But that happens on a daily basis. But it actually hurts.
Oh,
Usually I'm so prone to it, and it doesn't usually hurt. Today it hurt.
oh.
But I'm glad you brought up breeding. I think we should talk a little bit about it because a lot of times, I don't know if people say this to you, but a lot of times people will say to me, oh, and they'll whisper, I bought my dog from a breeder, sorry. And they get really like, they don't want to talk about it. They're nervous. They think that I'm against breeding. And the reality is, I actually think that breeders should take classes, get certified, be regulated better, that their puppies have to be tested for diseases that get passed down. Like, I think we should make breeders a higher standard and license them and regulate them and whatever we can do, because doing it the way we're doing it isn't working. We have sick animals, and it continues because people, backyard breeders, they don't know. They just get two dogs and they go, oh, I got a Maltese and a Maltese and I'll breed them together, and it goes.
Mm.
So for me, I think if we had more responsible breeders and did more of that, I think we would have less dogs in the pounds. We would have less.
One would hope. Yeah, I
Huh?
mean, one would hope. And the other thing too is I get people all the time who ask me to adopt a dog. Like, oh, this dog, it needs a home. It's great. It's only like 10 months old, or 18 months old, or something like that. 12, 16 months old. And I say, oh, so why are they just asking random people on the internet for help? Why don't they go to their breeder? Because
Yeah.
clearly someone just bred this dog like months ago.
Yeah.
They're not like, usually that you should be able to contact them, and they should be the person to not only take the dog back if it's not
Right.
working out 100% of the time,
Yeah.
and under really extreme circumstances, if they can't do that, then they would at least have a wait list or have some people that they've talked to and vetted out, pre-screened. If you get a dog from someone who's bred that dog and it's not just found wandering on the street or a stray, then you should have a relationship with that person for the lifetime of the dog.
Yeah.
And the dog should always go back to that, be welcome back to that person for the lifetime of that dog. And
Yeah.
that's the only kind of breeder you'd ever want to have purchase from.
There's
But the truth is that people find dogs all kinds of places, and they get dogs that are backyard bred dogs. And people have mixed feelings about it, because a lot of times they'll do it, and then after the fact, once they're in it and they realize all of the mistakes that were made and all of the problems
so many.
associated with that, then they realize they don't do the education first,
Yeah.
and it's a heart-centered decision. They love the dog, and it's almost like they think of it almost like a rescue sometimes, especially if
Hmm.
it's like a backyard breeder that's a bad situation. They kind of think of it as
Well,
rescue.
people,
But the truth is if you're giving money to those people, then you're just promoting them to keep doing it and doing it and doing it more and more. Which is, it's a
people,
really bad situation.
I'm like, I
There's
got my
no
dog
right answer.
from a reputable breeder, but I don't think people know what a reputable breeder, what that means. They think if they got papers, they've got AKC papers, that
That's
somehow that means that it's a reputable breeder.
no.
And I could tell you guys from experience, when I was very, very young and dumb, I used to breed mini doxies, and it was a whole world that I learned about and was disgusted with and got out of. Um, but before I got out of it, I had a little dachshund that I used to breed with a AKC registered other dachshund. And back at the time, I thought that the owner of the male, who was guiding me through all of this, was reputable. Just the things I knew to ask, she was having him tested for certain things that dachshunds are prone to and stuff. But then when my female had puppies, I can't remember how many she had. It's so many years. Let's say she had five. I think it was 4 or 5 puppies she had. And I had to register her with AKC. And the reputable breeder that I thought I was working with said, can you register 7 puppies? or 6, whatever it was. And I said, well, how am I going to do that? And she was, just say 7. There's nobody going to come look at your house. Just say 7. And I said, for what? And she says, because I have a couple of little mutts and I'll just put the papers with them.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And then she said, oh, it happens all the time.
I'm sure.
And I was like, oh my God, I bet it does. This is disgusting. I don't want any part of this. So
Yeah.
that's just one example of a reputable breeder.
And that's not even as bad as it can get.
Oh yeah. Oh, believe me.
I mean, all the puppy mill dogs are AKC. Usually,
it's
it's
just,
pretty meaningless in that. I mean, it's so diluted. I guess it's not meaningless. It does have some meaning.
yeah.
It does mean something. But on the other hand, it's not a
It doesn't mean what you
measure
think.
of quality. Yeah.
Not even close to a measure of quality.
Yeah.
And those papers could have been bought, sold, whatever. It has nothing to do with it. It's so unfortunate. I think if you're if you're looking for a healthy puppy, which should be the main thing you are looking for, is a healthy parent who has a healthy puppy, who has a healthy grandparent, and how they get healthy should be. But so many times people are looking for that cute thing, and that cute thing wears off very quickly. It's like the cute that you see on the internet will be cute for the rest of that dog's life once you fall in love with. So the cute part of it should be the last thing you're worried about. Lifestyle, right? You have to be honest with your lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you have? Because you can't just go get a bulldog if you like to go hiking in the mountains in August and you
Yeah.
want to take a dog with you. Like, you have to be honest.
You need a cattle dog for that.
Yeah. But so many times I hear breeders tell people this breed is great for this, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Um, and they do that because they want to sell their puppies, and so a lot of times a breeder will tell you, oh, this, or they'll have a litter and they'll say, well, this one looks like he's going to be good for this, and this one looks like he's going to be good for that. And truthfully, I don't think the personalities at that age, at 6, they're not developed yet. So for a breeder to say they know what's going to happen, I've seen 6-week-old puppies be all over the place, and then by the time they're 10 weeks, they're shy and a little different. But picking a reputable breeder should be about the health of your animal. What testing have they done? What um, are they willing to? I think this is a key thing. Is a breeder willing to stop breeding a dog if they know that something's been passed down? Because a lot of times they won't. They'll just keep breeding and they'll try to shove it under the rug.
Also, like an indication of a, a responsible breeder is someone who puts you in the hot seat and makes you feel very uncomfortable, because they should ask you, should be grilling you.
Yeah.
They should be, I mean, doing a home visit, having someone check on you, check your references, make sure your insurance situation's right, making sure that they're placing their baby with you.
Yeah.
They should be doing a lot of questioning, and really, it should not be an easy transaction. It should be difficult, and it should be something that you really like. You're striving to prove your you know prove that you're able to take good care of this animal and be the good home that they're looking for, and that you also have a good match. Like, just, you want to have a long-term relationship with that breeder, so it's not someone that's not just a transactional thing where it's like I buy it and then I never see you again. This is someone who should be part of your puppy's community, part of your puppy's village, that
Yeah.
will help raise the puppy, and that you can go back to and talk to about certain things that come up, and talk about how the other puppies are developing and what's going on with the other litter mates. And
Well,
this is something that really
that's why
helps
that's
you.
so important.
Yeah, I mean, it helps you. And then if something terrible happens, what if you're in a horrible car accident, or you lose your home, or some big crisis happens? They're going to be the safety net for that puppy.
Yeah.
So, or adult, even if they're an adult, a responsible, reputable breeder will always take back one of their dogs that they've produced. They will
Yeah.
never not do that. That's one of the main determining factors that separates the good from the bad, is someone who's going to take that dog back, no matter what. That they're
Yeah.
always going to be available for that.
They need to know what's going on to know if they're passing something down. That's why they need to continue that relationship with you.
Yeah.
Oh, he developed cancer at 2 years old. We need to talk about this. We need to
Yeah.
find going on so that they're not breeding in something, you know. He's got thyroid problems and he's, 6 months old. They need to know. So a
Yeah.
breeder, you're exactly right. A breeder that wants to know that you're going to continue that relationship is so important. It's so, so important.
Yeah. I mean, if they
Making
really
sure.
care about the line, they care about the breed, they care about the health of the dogs, the integrity of the dogs. And just if you love a breed or you love, like I love Great Danes and they're a really sick breed, that's a breed that's got so many problems. So, having someone who's working really honestly and really um, hard, doing all the hard work and the hard losses and being honest about those, that it's not, a lot of breeders will lie about the animals that have died and won't be honest about all of the health problems that they've actually experienced. So being really open and upfront about that is a big part of being a good breeder, because a good breeder will tell you that they have had problems, because they won't have, it's not going to be like 100% smooth sailing for all of the generations and all of the different animals that they work with. I mean, they may be pretty lucky and have a pretty good, record, but if they're honest and they're collecting information for the lifetime of the animals, that they're going to end up having some sad things happen. And then it's like, well, those things happen, but then what do you do? And how do
Yeah.
you respond to that? It's like anything in life, when something terrible happens, it's not really the terrible thing that's happening, it's how you respond to it. And it's the same thing for a breeder. Yeah.
How about I'm just looking at Facebook to make sure I don't miss any questions. The age at which you get the puppy, right? So if you have a breeder who's like, oh yeah, come get him. I know it's Christmas time. That's my favorite one. Well, she gave it to us at 4 weeks because it was Christmas and we really wanted to give our daughter on Christmas Day this puppy. That is the biggest red flag ever. So, you know,
That's super irresponsible.
it's so irresponsible on so many levels. Please don't encourage your breeder to do that. But if you have a breeder that's willing to do that, trust me, she's willing to do a lot of things that makes your puppy not healthy. And that's going to set your puppy up for failure. Failure, failure, failure. They need to be with their mom. I say 10 weeks, 12 weeks would be great.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. 12 weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
at least after 8. It has to be a minimum after
It
8.
has to be.
Can
If
never be
you're
before eight
healthy,
weeks.
nothing before 8 weeks. 10 weeks is okay, but 12 weeks I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Because what people don't realize is, especially if you have a mom who is everything you want in your puppy, everything you want. You see this mom and she is calm and she is friendly and she is all the stuff you're looking for. She's going to teach that puppy those things.
Yeah.
So she's going to pass down a lot of that nurturing and that stuff, and they're going to learn a lot from that mom. So the
Mm-hmm.
earlier you take her, they're not learning.
Right.
you know,
Right.
even
It's a missed opportunity for them in their
such
development
a missed
period.
opportunity.
Yeah.
If the mom is potty trained, which hopefully she is, and she's living indoors, and she
Oh
goes
my
outside.
gosh. I hope so. Oh my goodness.
I hope so, but I don't know. She could be living on a farm. Hopefully, I don't know that she's not living outside. But if the mom is potty trained and the puppy watches mom go outside to go to the bathroom, guess what? You've now got a 12-week-old puppy who's already potty trained.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want that?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know,
Makes your
so
life easier.
makes your life.
I refer people, if they're interested in this, and not everybody is, but if you're interested in getting a naturally reared puppy, then the Natural Rearing Breeders Association is really good.
Yeah.
They have great resources. They're in California, based up where my brother lives, up there in that area. It's near Shasta.
Oh,
So, and
I'll look into it.
yeah, and it's run by a veterinarian who is a natural rearing breeder herself. And Crystal, my breeder, is listed there, and a lot of great breeders. And it's mostly all purebreds, of course, but I think she now has like a doodle up there, like a mixed breed. So she's, well, looks like she's open to having other people listed there. But if you're looking for a naturally reared puppy from a really, and I would say, I don't know all the breeders who are members, and I don't know, you'd still have to do your due diligence and your checking and feel like you're getting grilled, which should be good. And but at least if they're being honest, they are following those natural rearing principles and minimally vaccinating or not vaccinating, and using natural methods for raising the puppies, both with the food, raw feeding, but also with vaccine decisions and worming decisions. And then if you can kind of get the combo of a naturally reared breeding association breeder who's also using something like the puppy culture protocol for behavioral health, you've kind of got like a rock star breeder. So if you can find those things overlapped, you're going to find someone who's just really top tier. I don't think there's a better breeder when it comes to quality, is finding something that overlaps between those two programs and the
Yeah.
being associated with them and integrating those into their program. I think that those are kind of the top upper echelon breeders, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get more and more of those coming out.
And
I
those people need to be supported, because as a
that's a
rescuer and a person who's dedicated to rescue, there's there's a lot of rescuers who feel like there should never no breeding should ever happen ever. No one should be breeding dogs or cats. And I think that very few people should be doing it, but the people who are doing it right, we need to support. And
yeah,
there's not many of them. So I
yeah,
would say that the gross majority should not be breeding dogs.
yeah,
But
yeah,
these ones who are doing so that are at least responsible at a minimum, but then if they're these top tier ones that are going above and beyond even being just responsible, but going to these extra measures to make sure they're breeding healthy animals and behaviorally healthy and physically healthy as far as their um, food and their nutrition and their husbandry goes, I think that that's you're going to find someone awesome and you should really support them, I
that's
think.
why I wish that they would come up with like I don't know, like a breeder's 2-year certificate of
Well, they do have like the futurity nominated litters. And I think that
that.
they do have like at least within their peers, my understanding is those futurity not, and I'm not someone who shows or breeds, so I know very little about that world.
Yeah,
Um, it's very just because I've been doing dogs for so long, I know some, but I don't know. I've never been involved in it personally. So, but I think the futurity nominated litters at least have some sort of uh, like within their peers. I believe that there's some hope that that litter would be a good litter and that the
yeah,
dogs would be good dogs, and you know like a breeder of merit. They do have that with the AKC. They have breeders of merit. So usually, if they're a breeder and a judge, or they have, if they're part of the breed group locally or statewide or for your region, and if they're the president of that group for your breed, or these are the people who you want to seek out. These are the people who are very involved with those things, and that doesn't always mean that they're going to be breeding great dogs, though.
sure.
You still have to do your own
You
research and
have to. I mean,
decide.
just because someone's a veterinarian doesn't mean that they love animals.
No, well, I know it's
I,
sad.
I
I know. Or that they have, I don't know, or that they're doing things in the way that you want. Like you have to be in
yeah,
alignment with them.
well, yeah, there's that too, but there's actually, I worked for one time who used to say the only reason he's a vet is because his parents made him be one. He didn't care about animals at all. He
Wow,
just,
that's really sad.
so it's very sad. Sad on both ends, right? Like poor
Yeah.
guy, it's like miserable.
Yeah. Oh,
And then the poor animals because he didn't care. He
oh
just
my
had no,
gosh.
he couldn't get into medical school, and I guess he got into vet school, which I don't know
That
how.
makes no sense because it's harder to get into vet school than it is medical school.
I think
Makes
possibly
no
his
sense.
parents knew somebody on the veterinary,
Oh,
and so they were able. Because I never could understand how would you get into vet school if you couldn't get into medical school?
right. It's harder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not even that many vet schools, so
No. And that's the reason why there's just not that many.
yeah, yeah. But breeding is it's a different world, and I have been an advocate for responsible breeders and finding people who aren't. I have people that I've seen, who got a dog and they're like, oh, I think we're going to breed him. We're going to get a male and we're going to breed him. And I've seen horror stories back when I was a vet tech. We had a chihuahua one time. This was one of the most traumatic things. And I'm going to tell you the story because it was very, very traumatic. So if there's anybody listening who's thinking about breeding dogs, listen to this. So in walks a woman with a little chihuahua, and she said the chihuahua was sick, and she doesn't know what's wrong with him. She is not eating, and there's this weird smell coming from her, and she couldn't figure out what it was. It took 1 second for us to realize that the female was pregnant, and a puppy got stuck in the canal.
Oh,
The
poor
shoulders got stuck.
thing.
So the only thing that was out was the head, and the
Oh,
puppy had died.
right.
That was the smell. I don't have
Right.
any idea how this woman did not see this
Well, and
coming.
also, how did the dog live? I mean, how was she even alive?
We do to that when we open, because we had to open her up and we
Yeah.
had to get all the dead puppies out, and the smell that traveled throughout the entire hospital was
Poor thing.
unbearable. And
Yeah.
she survived. Even
Wow.
after surgery, she survived.
Gosh, strong
And
dog.
that's a situation where you have this very tiny little Yorkie or Chihuahua,
Chihuahua.
and if they're breeding with a dog who sometimes people think, oh, they're both small, but if you don't know the history, maybe grandpa was really big, and now you get these. You have to learn genetics and how things pass down, and things are different. I am so much more like my grandmother than I am my mother,
Yeah.
so you can skip generations just like that,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and things can happen, and people just think, oh, I got two small dogs, so I'll breed them together, and that resulted in a bunch of dead puppies and a very sick mother. And in case you think that's not a big deal, maybe money will make you listen, a very expensive vet bill.
Yeah.
So it's just, people just think that it's so easy, you just throw them in the backyard and all's well that ends
I mean,
well.
the truth is that not all's well ends well, but the truth is yeah. I mean, dogs can just breed, and they can
Sure.
breed quickly, and it can happen fast, and we have all these problems with, not so much in this area, but a lot of places in the world that there's just an overpopulation and a lot of dogs breeding. But those dogs usually in those under those circumstances, they don't live very long. It's
Yeah.
like eight maybe. Instead of living longer. A lot of a lot of death, a lot of illness, and it's not good, not a good
No,
situation.
it's horrible.
But dogs can breed really quickly and easily, and without your super, if you don't pay close attention, they can get knocked up really fast.
Really
Yeah,
fast.
between crates, between fences, between, I mean, they can get really creative to make sure that that happens, and
Yeah.
you know even under your watch that may happen. So
Yeah.
the accidental litters are a huge number of circumstances that under
It's
which you
very quick.
find your dog pregnant.
It's
Yeah.
interesting though. It can also be, back when I wasn't in it very long, but when I was breeding dogs and kind of learning that whole thing, and it's interesting because some dogs they don't want to be bred, and so they do artificial insemination. And now in my career of learning, I wonder, is that nature's way of saying, I no, like I shouldn't be being bred. I don't want it. It's not good. It's not healthy. And I tend to believe absolutely that's nature's way of stopping the process of what could end up being very unhealthy puppies.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but we got to get to intervene, and we got to artificially inseminate, and we got to, or people want to artificially inseminate because they can get more puppies and they can sell, because you can get a whole lot more puppies if you're doing artificial insemination correctly. You can get more puppies than you would if it was just a natural. So that's more weight. They can make more money that way.
Mm.
It's horrible. It's really really sad. So
Well, yeah, don't even get me started with things like rare colors, unusual combinations.
oh, I know. It just keeps going and going and smaller. How about, oh, I need him to be smaller and smaller
Micro.
and smaller and smaller till he fits right here in my little pocket. Yeah, don't do that. We really need it. I
Or
think we
bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah, it goes either way.
Instead of
I want the biggest Great Dane or the biggest what's the largest dog?
Tibetan
Oh,
Mastiff.
well, yeah, the mastiffs and the wolfhounds, and it's just they get just bigger and bigger and bigger until they can't survive. Their heart can't even pump, and it's just so we can walk around with the biggest animal or the smallest animal. It's really sad. We can do better. We're humans. We can do better.
Yeah. Well, there's somebody that I really think is doing cool work. I don't remember her name, but she's trying to push for and advocate for healthy French bulldogs with a
Oh, that would be
nose,
awesome because they are not.
with a snout, with an ability to breathe, and the correct colors, the correct genetics, the correct structure.
Good for her.
I think that's really awesome.
Good for
So
her.
it's people like that who are trying to save breeds and repair them. I think that's great. If you love a breed, you should be doing things like that to try and help
Do
make them
everything you
healthy.
can. We had a French bulldog. He still comes. I just saw, but there was a long period that went by that I didn't see him. His name's Claude, and everybody was like, he's so big. He's so, people always say that. And I'm like, he's kind of what he's supposed to look like. Like, he's not all smushed. He can breathe. So,
He has a
but
nose. Yeah.
yeah, but it's sad because when people look at him, they don't think that he's like what his breed is supposed to look like.
Right.
And I'm like, poor Claude. Claude's good. He's great.
Yeah.
He's got some allergy issues, but that's different. It's not with his breathing and stuff, but or his size. But it always makes me sad when people are like, "Oh, that dog doesn't look right." I'm like, oh. And then we had
Well, yeah.
that grooming show that came out. I was so angry. There was this grooming show that came out called Groom Has It, and they had
Huh.
this judge on there. And I remember actually I got interviewed for that show, and now I look back on it and thank God because it wasn't at all what I thought it was supposed to be. And then they asked me to be on it the second season. I said, heck no. I would come on and be a judge because your judges were got this whole animal thing out wrong. And so they did this one episode where it was about you could kind of be creative and do whatever you wanted to do to this dog. And somebody did something, can't remember, but I remember the judge saying that's not his breed standard. And they made it like it was this dog was now a mutt and he couldn't it broke my heart because I'm like, this is still a living dog and you're making it like you're encouraging breeders to breed for just looks and breeding smaller and breeding them bigger and breeding them so their noses
Well,
are
the standard, I mean, I'm not familiar with every standard for every breed, but the standard's there to ensure the integrity of the breed and the original form and function of the breed. So, breeding to a traditional standard, if it was set up right, I know that
if
there's
it's
some,
set up right, but
yeah,
that's
but
not
most
what.
of them, a lot of them are, and the problem is that people deviate from the standard, and then you start having these problems
Well,
because
that's
they're
what's
doing the
happening.
micro and the
We're
micro and the,
deviating
yeah.
so far from what we should be doing and then encouraging. I don't know, it's just it really
Well,
I
that's
remember.
why border collies didn't want to be, they didn't want to be AKC certified. They didn't want, because they wanted a functional dog, not a dog
Good.
that was like a beauty pageant dog. They wanted a dog that would be more, you know, competing in trials and to maintain their function over their form. But form and function really should, ideally, they should be, representing together, a healthy animal because form follows function and function can follow form and
Yeah.
they're so related. Um, or one can hurt the other or one can support the other, if it's done right. So
Wouldn't it be great if we could do a show where you show your dog's blood work and you show like all the like how healthy your dog is, like his weight, his composition, his everything about him, and then that's how you win.
well, also, like, how he is in the world. Like, is he stressed out or is he happy? Is he able to move well? Is he able to
Yeah, you could
jump?
win like first place and most well adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, that's super important. Like a dog who can just be in the world and be a happy dog and
Right?
not be stressed out. That's how
We should do that
wonderful
for
would that be?
people. We should do that for people. Like no
Yeah,
more beauty pageants. Now we should just turn it into most well adjusted, easily, you know, deals with
happy,
stress.
most happy.
I would lose the deals with stress. I would lose. I would be the biggest loser for sure. I am struggling with stress. Uh,
Well, running a small business is stressful.
it's
Yeah.
it is stressful.
It's
It's
not for the
getting
faint of heart.
it's not. And
Mm.
when I first opened my business, my father-in-law loves to tease me about this because I when I first opened it, I was in school full time because I was going to get away from animals altogether. I was done. I was leaving the vet world. I didn't want to work with animals. I wanted to work with animals. I just didn't want to be in the industry anymore. So I went to college for something totally different, but I needed to pay for college. So I knew how to groom dogs. So I said, well, I'll just groom some dogs. And so I started doing them in my backyard for a little bit. And then my father in law said, well, if you want, you can lease this little area. And that got me all excited. Oh my gosh, I'll have a little business. And so I started, so this is 21 years ago. So I started saying stuff like, oh yeah, it'll be good. And I mean, I could make a lot of money doing this on my own because I don't have to like what's the overhead? I just pay some rent and buy some shampoo. And he to this day is like, what could be so hard about running a business? Whenever I have a bad day, he'll go, shampoo.
Yeah, it's just shampoo and hey, piece of cake.
Like, oh
Laughing all the way to the bank, right?
God, no. The hardest lesson I had to learn, because I'm a people pleaser. I really want people to, be happy with my services, and I do everything I can to make people. I will bend over backwards to make you happy. And the hardest lesson I had to learn was you cannot make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Oh God, it still hurts me when
Yeah.
somebody's happy with my service, and
I
and
know.
I don't understand. I'm like, how?
Because
But
you work so hard and you put so much into it. I know.
I know. Just today we had a really upsetting situation, and I'm like, gosh, she didn't even come in. She just heard a dog barking. I put it on my personal Facebook page. She just heard a dog barking and decided we were abusing the dog. So
Oh.
I know. So she recorded it, apparently outside. She recorded the barking,
Oh.
and then called my manager and yelled at my manager and said we were abusing dogs, and she was going to ruin us on social media.
Oh no, that's stressful.
I know, but how sad is this? I thought you thought a dog was being abused and you didn't come help him.
Come in, we'll also come in and just see
Yeah,
what's going on.
like
Yeah,
if you,
making a judgment on that, it's
but
kind of difficult. Yeah,
I know. So,
you
but
don't know what's going on.
we don't need to.
Really.
I just would lose the not handling stress if that's how we judge people. If we had big competitions, like we should, we should. Beauty pageants for dogs and beauty pageants for kids upset me. I get really sad by that,
Yeah.
because it makes people keep trying and trying and trying. And I'm a groomer, so I see it. I had a lady one time, we groomed her dog. The dog was gorgeous. She picked up the dog and she said the dog was gorgeous and she loved it and everything was great. She called me the next day upset and said that her neighbor told her that the dog's haircut is too short, and now she's mad. And I'm like, gosh, what are we doing? Like, we are just judging every single thing.
Jeez, that's
Is that
weird.
horrible? I'm like, gosh, she was so happy with that haircut. The dog was happy and everything was fine, but now the neighbor had to say
That hair's too short.
it's too
Who
short.
cares? It's gonna grow. Just wait a week.
There's that
Wait
too,
a
but
week, everything will be cool. Don't worry about it.
no,
It's hair. It grows. That's what happens.
it grows back. If you have a healthy pet,
Yeah.
the hair will grow back. If
Yeah.
got other issues going on, something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just wish we wouldn't judge people so much. We're living in such a judgmental society that you can't even breathe without someone telling you
Yeah.
you're breathing too loud.
And that actually kind of is nice to circle back to our original topic of breeders, because the truth is that there are some breeders who are truly unethical, but I think that do you think that give people also giving people the benefit of the doubt, like people who aren't educated and they get their first dog with a backyard breeder and they just didn't know, and then there's also like people who genuinely love their dogs and they don't really see because they don't have the experience and the 20, 30 years or whatever of working with animals and seeing all of the downfalls and the problems associated with making a poor choice in breeding a dog when they shouldn't.
Yeah,
I don't think that people, they always think that, oh, it's just this one litter or it's just this one, like they don't really realize like how much harm that can cause.
oh
but
gosh,
but
both
I
for
think that I don't know, I try to still be, try not to be judgmental, because I think that some, they do, there's some love there, there's some goodwill there, there's some, I don't think that it's
sure.
all
It's
just for
not.
the money. It's not. I
Yeah,
think that they wouldn't do it if they didn't like love dogs in some different way that's maybe different than how I love dogs, and
right.
who am I to judge? I just don't feel like I can.
I know.
It's hard.
I just want to put this out because Brian mentioned. He says, "I know it's impractical." I say the same thing, Brian. Don't worry. He says, "I know it's impractical, but if everyone got their animal from a responsible breeder, keyword responsible, there'd be no need for rescues." And
It's
he's absolutely right. right? Because the breeder, a reputable breeder, by our definition, is they are willing to take the animal back in case there's some reason that you can no longer care for your animal.
There's the safety net there.
Yeah, there's that
Of
safety net.
there's your village, part of your village, raising your puppy. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it is impractical, and we can all wish and hope and keep preaching. It's just like
But that's the thing though. I mean, think about it. Like, when I first started raw feeding, like I never imagined that I would ever be able to do something like SF raw. That would seem totally insane.
yeah,
And look what we're doing, and
yeah,
it's so, Brian, there's always hope. Just maybe sometimes you're ahead of the curve, but don't ever give up hope. That's possible. The more
yeah,
people we educate, the more people we explain about how important that is, and helping them help make those connections, help support them. Because I mean, that like happened today. There's at least a couple people who came in that, are breeding dogs. And I was just saying, here's resources for you to do what you're doing better, and to make sure, everyone makes mistakes, and they're going to try and, just to make sure that they have people there to help them get through and not make those mistakes. And where are you at right now, and how can we make sure that the next day and the next day and the next decisions that are made are going to be better and better, and hopefully eventually over time things will be better.
yeah. No, it is true a lot of times, and I think that's really, you said something that I think is really important to say to people when you're struggling with your decisions that may seem, but it's a good way to look at it. You're ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
and because I remember being ahead of the curve with the raw feeding, and people just attacking, and I wouldn't want to talk about it because we've talked about this before, and you just think, oh my god, there were moments where I thought I might be crazy. Like I start questioning yourself, and you do all that stuff, but it's a good way to think about it, is just being ahead of the curve, and that's okay. That's a good thing, right? Because if nobody's ahead of the curve, then we're just all going to stay stagnant and do nothing, and
Yeah.
we need to always be ahead of the curve. I think that's an important, I think
Yeah.
we should end on that. Is
Yeah,
that
be like, try to strive to do better all the time,
yeah,
and be open to new ideas. Feeding the way I feed now is different than how I fed then. And,
me too.
I went, you know, just realizing that there's a lot of things you don't know, even if you've been doing it for a long time, and try and find people's original intention in their heart, and look at it that way instead of being judgmental, and realize that like there might be something happening that isn't what you expect
Yeah,
behind that, and like the person today with the barking dog, maybe there's something happening in there that they don't understand the full everything that's happening behind the closed door.
I
Or
wish she would have just walked in. Like,
yeah,
all she needed to
yeah,
do was just walk in and say, "Hey, is everything okay?"
right.
And
But
I would have
even if
taken it.
it weren't, like, isn't that an opportunity to like maybe help someone realize, oh, maybe I could do something better, like even if it wasn't great, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be I don't know.
So
Yeah.
those opportunities come up all the time in our lives, and we can either choose, and honestly, I will, since I don't want to end on a negative, I will tell you that that story actually has a good part of it. So when she called to yell at my receptionist and threaten us, she mentioned that she was in the area picking up flowers. Well, I know all the flower ladies except for one in my area. So I thought, oh, I'm going to go find out who she is, because I was going to call her and invite her into my store. And
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to come away thinking any anxiety of what I'm doing. Anyway, one lady I didn't know, but I decided to go over and ask her if she had a client that may have mentioned to
The
her about
barking dog.
the
Yeah.
barking, because we're very close. And anyway, bottom line is, no, she didn't know her. None of the flower girls knew her, so that may have been a fib also
Hmm.
from this lady. But the real thing is I met a very nice lady.
Yeah.
I had never met her before, and she has this fabulous flower shop, and we
Oh,
started talking
cool.
for like 20 minutes today, and she's very close to me, and she's just like close in proximity, and so I may have met a new friend. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just gonna make lemonade out of lemons, I guess. So
Yeah.
might have met, and she's just a nice lady. She's like my age, and she does beautiful flowers. So
Cool.
I'm
Nice.
come out of it. So maybe that all was just so I could meet this lady. Who knows? I have no idea. I've been there 26 years, and or 21 years. Then my wedding anniversary is Saturday. I've been married 25 years.
Aw.
I
Happy
know.
anniversary. That's huge.
So, but she's been next to me for so long, and you're so busy at work, I never met her. So
Oh
some good.
wow. Oh my
So
gosh. Good
I know.
thing.
Well,
So we should talk. So on the 15th, you're not going to be available,
yes,
right?
I will not be here on the 15th. It's my very, very good friend's birthday, and we had bought these tickets way before you and I decided
Yeah.
doing tonight. So I'm actually going to go see Eliza Schlesinger
Oh wow.
for
Cool.
my friend's birthday. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to see her and celebrate my friend's birthday. So yes, next Thursday we will not be here. So we're
Yeah.
taking a week off. So that'll give you guys all time to come up with some questions.
Yeah. Anyone watching can have a question and submit it,
I
or a
know.
topic, or
Well,
whatever you want us to talk about.
I honestly, I think it might be fun to just go through some of the Facebook pages. I'll pull out some questions that people are asking, and we'll just go with that. So, uh, but we always find something to talk about. I
I
had
know.
no idea we were going to talk about breeders, but it's such a good
Me
subject.
too. I had no idea.
You know,
But
breeders,
yeah.
it's a really good subject because people don't know, what they're looking for and what questions to ask, and maybe we'll go over that a little bit more because I know we kind of covered like
Yeah.
some of the things. Like, definitely do not get a puppy before 10 weeks old, ever, ever, ever. And
It's a red flag.
if you can push
Yeah.
it to 12, that's my good advice. So,
Yeah.
all right,
All
Kasie.
right. Everyone
Uh,
have a good night. Thank
I
you for
know, everyone have
watching.
a good night. We will see you not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. So you got the night off, Kasie.
Yeah, that's going to be the 22nd, I think.
22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys on the 22nd.
All
All right.
right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And Brian, thank you so much
I
for
know,
helping.
Brian, you're so awesome to be like always tuning in. So we
I
appreciate you.
know.
Thank
I
you
know.
so much.
It matters because part of me is like, is this
I know,
giving?
me too. I felt the same way, Kara's like, does anyone watch this? But then people are, so I'm like, okay, I don't know.
I know it takes time. I know to get people in the habit, and so
Yeah,
I don't want to break it yet. So
yeah,
we'll just keep on plugging away at this for a while, and we'll see what happens. I know that people have questions because they ask me them every day, all day long.
yeah.
So I just got to get them to come here. All right, you
Awesome.
guys.
Have a good night. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Lori.
Lori. Thank you. All right,
Thanks, Lori.
again.
Bye.